The Highland Hills tower, the skies the skies. But the shadows they cast draw the spirits near. After all, two horrors born.
Well, hello everybody. It's good to be back. Another week has passed, guys, and we've got an amazing guest with you tonight. We're joined by Drew, my co-host for tonight, and my mystical love and light. I've been wanting to interview you for a very long time, my mystical, because you've got absolutely an amazing channel, and your live last night was very, very, very good. Who was the guest? Was it Grave Dancer? What was the person?
Yes, the Lady Grave Dancer.
Lady Grave Dancer. Anyway, yeah, it was a really, really good show. Now, guys, we're just going to let the chat build up a little bit. Now, where are you in the chat? Where are you? Stay. There you're there. I'm not calling you Stephen. I'm not calling you Stephen tonight. I'll call you Stephanie tonight.
Yeah.
So I've got a postage bit of paper with a big arrow aiming at it, and it says Stephanie, so as I don't make a mistake. Hey Christine, hey Jim, who else we got? Robin, who else we got there?
Welcome everybody. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Hi Dilber. Jill.
Thank you everybody for coming. Now listen guys, I'm very pleased to say that me and Drew have actually got an affiliate company, Spirit Shack, that's supporting this channel now. I'll post the link shortly. If you could all visit the shop and have a wee look about. If you decide to buy anything for the shop, could you use that link when you click on it? Because it goes to helping this channel run and everything else, you know. So here's Nando. It's good to see you there, Nando, you know. So before I post that link, my mystical, where did you get all of those jars from?
I save a lot of the jars. Different places I go. If I go to even like shops and they have sales, anything like that, get them. If I'm making spaghetti or have olives or pickles or anything, and the jar's empty, I save it underneath. You can't see, but under the computer, computer sitting on a table. It's those white long like camping tables. Underneath I have boxes full of jars. So every time I forward something and dry it out, I don't have to worry about a jar because I've got the jars already.
Definitely.
It's an amazing.
So be careful, or you could be getting in that jar, Christopher.
Say that me and Dakota, we was make this on a Saturday or a Sunday night. We used to make the wee jip, you know, like say we could end up in the jars, you know.
Anytime we annoyed us witches.
See, that's something that I've always wanted to ask, but I'll ask that after because it was like curses and things like that, and things that you can do to help protect yourself, things like that. So I tell you what. My Mystical Love and Light. I'll post the link to my Mystical Love and Light's channel shortly and our shop, ladies and gentlemen. Could you all please visit our shop? Had a look at that, my Mystical. That was a very interesting shop you have. And visit our channel, please, and give her a big subscribe. Let's get her to 1,000 subscribers by say next month or something. It'd be really good, guys. Hello on Facebook, everybody that's watching us, and Parapost. So my Mystical Love and Light, how did you get into this? How did it all start for you?
Well, actually, I guess I could say I was born into it. I was given a gift. I think my mom knew a lot of stuff. She didn't like tell us, but in hindsight, as I got older and I think back, I think the things that she did, she was using a lot of stuff for working. See, I don't call them spells. I call them workings. I don't call myself a witch. I say like I'm a holy spiritual being. Much negativity still attached to it. And I have a lot of people that come to me and they don't even, they won't tell anybody that they come to me. But since I was like 10, 11, I could start, I knew I could do things, but it's like it was a trial and error kind of thing that I would do. And I would start helping people. I could always see spirits. So, that alone would tell me that I had a special gift. So I grew up not really being scared of anything, any spirits that I saw, whether they were good or bad, because it was something to me that I would assume that everybody could see them. Sometimes I would I would talk to some and not even know it was a spirit.
What did they look like? Did they just look like normal people? Did they just look like normal people?
Yeah, some of them, when I would already see them, like if they were already manifested and I turned to see them, it would be like there was a person there, and I would start talking, and then when they would fade away or just disappear, poof, I'm like, dadgummit. Because then I realized that they weren't really there. But sometimes I would see them when they would start manifesting. A lot of times, if they start manifesting in front of me, if they want me to see them, it starts out like a whirl. You know, like those dust deals you see, where the dust goes round and round and gets bigger. Okay, sometimes it starts like that. And it'll start, and as it starts to go and form and get bigger, then the shapes starts showing itself where it starts manifesting. And then obviously I know that's that's a spirit.
That's
but
amazing.
Sometimes I'll see them in windows and stuff. Yeah. If I see them in windows and they've already manifested, a lot of times I don't really know that they're a spirit. Sometimes if they're not on the good side, I'll start getting that feeling like, that's not good. That one's not good. Or, I'll tell my husband, I'm like, there's a spirit over there looking at us, and it's not even human. Some of them, there's no way to describe them because they're like part human, part animal. Sometimes they're mist.
Was that like,
they're just
is that
dark.
Is that like a darker spirit, like a demonic kind of type thing? Can they imitate humans? Do they actually look like humans?
Well, it's kind of both, because a lot of people think because it's a dark, you see the darkness of it, they think it's bad, but that's not necessary. So it's just sometimes how they manifest. So when you see a dark spirit, it could be actually a good soul spirit, or it could be the other way around. It could be a kid you see and you're like, oh, look at the little girl, and it'd be a bad spirit. And you're not going to know until you start to kind of communicate, and then you start picking up those underlying vibes that something is not, something is not right.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do if I seen something like that.
The danger of being out ghost hunting, though.
I know, but for me, it's different. It's like I can sense they're there, but that's all I can sense. And it's weird. It's a strange feeling, because I know, Drew, you've started sensing it too lately. You've becoming more aware.
Yeah, I think the more you do this, the more your senses get used to all the different energies around you, and you can start to tell. Yeah, I definitely feel that you can get more open. No, I don't know what I would do if I felt a really, really dark entity there. I don't know what I would do, really. I think I would probably just call on timber and call on my guides.
Yeah.
Get the sage and things out.
See, that's what I was just going to ask you. What do you do, my mystical? What do you do if it follows you home?
Well, I take every precaution for it not to follow me home. And as long as I'm 62 years old, not one time has anything followed me home. But yet at the same time, I have protection prayers, hedge prayers around my entire property line and my vehicles. So I always, I'll do a prayer, going into like an investigation. If it's a house that I know it's already something that I say is evil, call it really demonic or the devil or anything, because most people use those terms way too. If they get scared, they're like, automatically it's a demon. But there are a lot of evil entities. I have a big, long, huge prayer that I say going into the situation, also coming out of the situation, also, telling them they're not allowed to hitch a ride with me. And, I always keep with me, I have so many devices, and I keep, a lot of, like, I make anointing oil that, I'll use, and my team will use the anointing oil that I make myself. I have sage, I have Palo Santo on hand. So, and I always have my crystals, and I have my black tourmaline with me. So I do a lot of protections, and I've never had anything actually come home with me. Even if it did somehow get to as far as me pulling in the driveway, it's going to be poof, because it can't come across my property line.
Yeah, I'll not make it. Right, before I hand you over to my co-host Drew to ask some questions, guys, please click on her link for YouTube. Please give her a subscribe. Let's get her to 1,000 subscribers by next month or the month after. We'll be able to do it sometime. I'm also going to post some links to her shop and YouTube. Please, I beg of you all, give her a subscribe. Get to 1,000. So without further ado, Drew, ask us some questions about potions and things, because I don't have a clue about these kind of things.
Oh no, there's that many things I could ask her. I mean, we've already got a kind of offline coven, so what I would always want to ask you. So where's your favourite place to go and forage your stuff? Because to let you understand, guys, she does go out and get most of the stuff herself. But where's your favourite place to go foraging?
Any place in the woods where there's lots of woods up in the mountains. Since I live in East Tennessee, I'm surrounded with mountains. So it's a perfect place for me. So I go out as soon as things start to blossom. I will start going out and I will start foraging. And I forage roots, leaves, like flower buds, grass, anything that you can think of, forage it. But also keep in mind, I always ask permission to take things, and I never take, like if I see 2 or 3 things, I don't take them all. I may take some leaves off this one here, and I may take some buds off this one, or some roots, I may take them from this one over here. That way I know they're always continuously growing, in case that I need them. But any place in the woods, I don't care if we're driving down the road. My husband is so used to me foraging. He's like, honey, look, do you have that? Do you have that over there? And he'll get it for me. He's a truck driver, so he's driving in he's in a blizzard right now, driving to Colorado.
And be safe.
Yeah. And so if he sees something that looks different that he doesn't think that I will have, he will take a picture of it and he'll send it to me. And if I don't have it, I'm like, yeah, take it. And he knows already to say thank you and everything whenever he's foraging on my, on my behalf. It may even be bones. One time I was driving home from work, and talk about foraging, and when I forage things, it's not like, oh, I need this or I need that. It's, I'm going to forage this because I know I will need it in the future. Okay, so I'm driving home from work, and I'm already across the mountain on this side, and my spirit is pull over. So at first chance I get, I pull over, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, now what? So my spirit is like, well, get out and walk. So I get out of the vehicle, walk around on the side where the mountain is, and I probably take 10 steps, and there is a full bones that looks like it had hit. The bones was already white, where they had already been bleached from being out in the weather, for a very long time. So I couldn't even tell what kind of bone, because where it was located at, animals get into it and it gets moved around, and then with the weather and everything. So that's why my spirit told me to pull over, because I would probably need those bones for something. So So I, said a prayer over the animal, whatever animal it was,
Yeah.
I said a prayer over it and thanked them and told them that I would be using the bones for something good, to help someone or for certain information or something like that when I collected the bones. So when I even do my osteomancy or my throwing bones, I use some of those bones in it when I do those.
Nice.
It's very interesting, this, isn't it? I'm learning a lot of new things here. Can I ask
See,
you
people
something?
think witches are all doom and gloom and we do things for bad, but honestly, 99% of the time and 99% of us do things for really good.
Yeah.
I mean, your spirit leads you to things. That's amazing, that. And a lot of
That is,
people don't realise that we do work with spirits and energies on the other side. I mean, that's the whole purpose of doing ghost hunting things as well, is to connect to these energies, the spirits. So,
yes.
being a witch, how do you put that into your ghost hunting then?
Okay, you froze up for just a second on the end. So are you asking me how am I putting like my
Yeah, how,
path into with to incorporate it with the paranormal? Is that what you're asking? Okay.
yes.
Yes.
Well, I figured since I can already see spirits, just because I can see them, that doesn't mean when I go on a paranormal investigation anybody else can see them. I can say all day long, "Oh, there's a spirit there." That'll prove nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my devices come in, because some people has asked me, well, if you can see them, why do you have devices? Well, I have devices for the people that can't see them. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I have my devices. So like when we went to the witch's grave, I think I had told Drew this part. When we went to
Yeah.
do the witch's grave, and we were being real quiet because we didn't really have permission to be there on that property. So we kind of went
Yeah.
in the back way and went in, and we don't ever disturb anything. We're very respectful, because if these people's past, they were somebody's mom or somebody's daughter, somebody's mother or whatever, you know. And so when we were filming, there's a church where the graveyard, there's a church, and then there is a schoolhouse right behind it.
Yeah.
And when I said right behind it, I mean you walk out of one and then there's another
Yeah.
one. Okay, so while we were doing it, I said, there's a shadow. I see a shadow. But by the time that the person running the camera turned, because I was like, try to get it. She couldn't really.
Missed it.
Shortly after that, the device that I had in my hand, it had, what did it say? I can't remember what it had said. Oh, it said something like that was me. I don't remember what it said. And I said, in other words, I was trying to confirm it to see where it was at, and it said in front of the schoolhouse. Well, where I said I saw the shadow and pointed at, that's where she was saying that she was at in front of the schoolhouse. So it's like right in between. So she was confirming that was her there.
Brilliant.
And yeah, so and a lot of people, they'll say, well, why do you do a lot of investigations at night? Well, you can see the
Yeah.
instruments, you can see the lights, stuff like
Right.
that. In the daytime, it's hard for people to see unless you're actually right there with it to see, because with the sun and the glare and everything, you're not going to see it. But at nighttime, you'll be able to see it. So
Yeah.
people will ask me, well, do you see more in the day or do you see more in the night? Actually, I see a lot more in the day than I ever do at night.
Yeah.
But I like to do the investigations at night so that my
Yes.
instruments can be seen on camera and the
Yeah.
people watching will be able to see them.
That's really interesting. We've actually got a question for you from Robbie here. Let's see. Do you study only white magic or both?
Okay, well, I've never, I don't want to say study since it was like a gift that was given to me, but
Yeah.
you have to know how to do both. Because if you don't know both, how can you help someone that's on the other
Yeah.
side? So
Yeah.
you have to know. It's not so much studying it; it's knowing it, light and day, yin and yang, there's always two sides of everything. So you have to understand how both sides work in order to be able, you can't just know white and then not, and I don't really call it white, but I understand what they're asking.
Yeah.
So that way, exactly, a balance. You have a balance and you can make any corrections that you need. How can you get rid of a bad spirit if you don't know anything about how that side works? So, but I always teach, like, even like the stuff that I put out, like in my shop, in Etsy, a lot of people will ask, what happens if somebody gets it and they want to use it for the bad? Okay, so being that I'm able to put, I'll charge it, I'll energize everything that I sell, and I also put a clause in myself. Actually, there's two clauses. One, they can use it for, I call it a boomerang effect. If someone's doing you wrong, sometimes doing something to someone is justified, because if you have that mean, cruel person that wants to beat you, or beat the little ones or whatever, and you need to do something for safety, by all means you can do it. Can't do it. I put a clause in all of my stuff that I sell, that they can't intentionally use it for the bad, because you don't know who's going to get a hold of it. So you can't just, they can't just like, oh, I'm going to buy this, and then I don't like that person, over there, they looked at me wrong, and then try to put a hex on them. You know what I mean? Or they can't like buy it and then try to turn it around and use it on me. Like if it works out much, let's just say it, So I protect it from everything that I sell, and so I don't ever worry about that. So because since I do stuff for the good, to help people, to teach them how to empower themselves, the products that I sell helps them along, in other words.
And it really is just things that were ancestors and things did. And if you really sit and think about it, working with herbs, working with the energies, is everything that our ancestors did, no matter what country in the world you're from. So it really is about tuning into that, tuning into the things that, and asking your ancestors to help you as well. Your ancestors are one of the first spirits that will be there by your side. So remember that. Just remember that when you're wanting to maybe even do a birthday candle, your ancestors and things are the ones that help you push that intent out. It's an amazing journey, honestly.
A lot of people can do stuff. They don't give themselves a title, but they're doing the same things we're doing.
Yeah,
they're doing the exact same thing. They just don't want to come to the conclusion of what they're actually doing, but that's what they're doing.
Do you work with any energies? That's another question I was going to ask you. Do you work with any energies such as Archangel Michael, maybe one of the goddesses?
Well, what I do is, like, my creator, I don't use the word God, because your God and my God and his God, we see him different. It's all in here on how you see it. So I say my creator, the part, who created me. So I'll call on my creator. I will call on, depending on what working I'm doing, will be, angels, archangels, whether it's my spirit guides I call on, whether it's my spirit animal that I call on, whether it's my guides. When I use the word spirit, they all know that I'm speaking to them just by using the one word spirit. So when I'm doing stuff and I ask my spirit to step in, that's who I'm calling on. The whole kit and caboodle of who can come in and assist. And I always too say, if they have anyone that can also come in and assist, that they're welcome. So anytime I'm talking to my spirit, I always also too know, like ahead of time, to say no one else can enter in, because you're opening a door. Anytime you talk to spirit, you've opened up a door. So you always say no other spirits with any bad intentions, that can harm me or my family, or, wants to be a trickster. You're not welcome to come in.
Yeah.
Only the ones that's here for my higher self can come in. So.
Yeah. I've actually got a question that's something I've always wondered. See with like curses and stuff, and Drew's actually helped me with this. I think I can't remember, Drew. I think you've actually helped with this. See, when somebody curses you, does that go back in that person tenfold?
No.
So like, say somebody cursed me, does like karma no come back and get them?
No, you hear a lot of people say yes, and if that's how they believe, then that's how they're setting their intentions. Okay?
Right.
The way that I see it is, and I've been asked that question before, is if you are doing it to justify something,
right,
nothing is ever going to come back. Nothing is ever going to come back on you.
Right.
Now, if that person is going to just curse somebody for the heck of it because they're pissed off at the whole wide world, okay, then there is a such thing as a boomerang effect that will turn around and come back on them. Some people call it karma, some people call it the boomerang effect. But if you're doing something to someone, even if it's a curse and a hex, to justify something that needs to be, nothing is ever going to come back on you.
Thank you very much. I've always wondered that, because I've heard the people cursing people just because they were jealous, and I thought to myself, that's a bad idea, because that can come back. But I've never heard it. If they've maybe like murdered somebody, their family, and they're bad, and they've basically got away with it kind of thing, and you've done something against them.
If I feel I've been done wrong, I always say, or I feel as if somebody else has been done wrong, I always just say, if you feel as the powers above that this is also wrong, please let the person realise what they've done wrong and learn from it. That's what I do. I don't ask them to get their karma or anything bad. I just ask them to learn their lesson.
Yeah. When I was at work, when I was at work one day, and this lady came in, and I worked in sporting goods, and sold firearms and fishing licenses, and all that kind of stuff in sporting goods.
Yeah.
Well, I had a whole group of people that came in. I don't know, it was probably like 10 people. And then I had one other lady come in, and she immediately started jumping on me about stupid stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And I said, I'll be with you in a minute, because I had all these other people. I was doing fishing licenses or something, which takes a while, and you're doing all these other ones. She went off on me to the point that she got so loud that I stepped back and said, I will not wait on you. I refuse to wait on you. And my blood started boiling. And the manager overheard and walked over, and he looked at me and he said, go to the office, cool down, and he whispers, you better not put a spell on her. Go to my office.
Remind me, Drew, never to pass my mystical love and light off.
So I went to the office. I must have sat in there 15 minutes. He took over the register. He handled everything. And then he went back. He opened the door and he goes, are you cooled off? I said, no. He closed the door real quick and he left again.
Give me another 10 minutes.
Oh,
wow.
But I wouldn't have done it. But he saw that I was so mad that I just stepped back. Because I take a lot of stuff from people, But he could tell when I got that mad, he was like, go to the office. He just wanted me out of the situation, and he wanted me to cool off.
Why you go from blue to black when I get angry? They go from blue to black.
Remember me never to piss both of you off then, or I'll be ending up in a jar. What is that? See how me and Dakota, we would joke on that, putting us in a jar. What does that actually mean? What does that actually contain? What do you actually do to put someone in a jar?
Jars? Do you
Okay,
want to explain?
yeah. What that means is you can actually let me phrase it where you can understand it. If you put somebody in a jar, that means you're doing a working, and whatever the situation is that's very disturbing, you are taking that situation and that person, not physical person, but like their thinking, their mind, their body, their soul. You're putting that in the jar, and say you're like you want to freeze them. You can put that, you do the working, you close it up, you can seal it, you put it in the freezer, and it will stay frozen, and you'll never hear nothing else from a person with that situation or being around you or aggravating you, whatever the situation is, because you froze them. You put them in a jar and you froze them. Now, if you start feeling later, oh, maybe I was a bit harsh on them, maybe I'll let them out. You can take it back out and let everything thaw back out, open it up, say another prayer, everything is good. And then that person will, because a lot of people like gossip, that's jealous.
Yeah.
And
It's
you're like, oh, if they don't shut up, I'm gonna put them in a jar, and that's what you do, and you'll never hear from them people again. Never. If you see them walking, they'll go out of their way to walk to get out of your way. It's almost like there's a bubble around you that they don't even see anymore, and they keep their distance.
I'll need to learn that. I'll need to get a couple of jars for myself. There's a few people that know.
The plaster scene and things. I mean, all you do is rub the head and make that the intent. That head is you, Christopher. Put you in the jar, then your wee arms, put you in the jar, and then you just put your power into it and say, you will stop gossiping about me, and then you put you in your freezer, and you'll just cool off.
Yeah, you can add some lemon to it and say this lemon makes you pucker. Well, you're gonna pucker all right, because you ain't gonna be puckering toward me anymore, and stick that in there. And you're putting that intention into it.
Can you? Again, this is going to sound stupid, but you're doing that to somebody, right? Can you do it to do the opposite effect, to say make their life better?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it for love. You can do it for loved ones. You can do it to keep them safe, keep them close to home. Say you have a young child or something that likes to go out and roam, and they don't need to be out roaming. You can do a working and put them in a jar for the intent of keeping them closer to home and keep them safe.
Yeah, I've got Liam in a jar.
Yeah.
I've got him in a jar. I've got his baby teeth and things in there, and it's really not to control him. It's really just to make sure he does things right in life.
That's right.
It's a way of looking over him and putting if you feel it, like, say for example, I felt as if Liam wasn't doing good at school or something, I pick the jar up and I start putting more intent into it to take a bit more control maybe, and start focusing on the things that he needs to focus on. Me as a mother, my intent for him is going to only be good. So putting that intent into his jar, it does work, and it really does help him. It's a good practice.
Because it's for protection. Yeah. And instead of freezing them, and maybe you have a beautiful plant in your house that you think the world of, you can put that in the plant, because you want that intentions that you put in that jar, you want it to grow, to flourish. So you put it in a like in a potted plant, and that's what your intentions is for. So you always think outside the box, and you think of the surrounding things that you can use, and you incorporate it. Thinking of a person that you want them away from you work. Yes, if your intention is good enough and you believe in yourself, yes. You definitely can.
Yes, for sure.
I see everybody has the ability to empower themselves. I tell people, when you say something out loud, your words are being sent straight into the universe, into the ether. You're flagging the situation to take hold. Is what you were, is what you were doing. Some people don't realize how powerful their words are. But they are very, very powerful. And if you believe in yourself, you're going to make it happen.
You've got to be very careful of your words. Words is definitely powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Drew knows that. I've told her a couple of situations and I should have kept my mouth shut. But it was for the good. It was for the good.
Yes.
I'm just going to share my Mystical's YouTube channel link in the chat, guys. Could you please go and give her a subscribe? Let's
Remember,
get
guys, she also does have an Etsy shop. She also has an Etsy shop, guys.
It's in the chat, Drew. It's in the chat.
Drew's always pushing it for me.
Brilliant.
It's I don't want to end up in the jar. Peeking out of it.
You won't end up in a jar, Christopher.
It's awfully cold in here. Here's an interesting question. I'm looking at all the jars behind you, and obviously you've got loads of like herbs and stuff.
There's nobody in the jar. Those are just all forward stuff.
No,
that's what would you say
was? What would you say was the most rarest herb or part of a potion to get? The most rarest one, very difficult to get.
Well,
good question.
Yeah, it is a really good question because I wouldn't really say it's just one. Because one may not do that much. You combine 2 or 3 or 4 with the one, and it makes a whole different outcome of what you want. Yeah. So it's really not just one. It's a combination of things depending on, you know, what you want to do. What did Meg say? I didn't see it. What was she had said? Something about a jar.
Don't put Drew in a jar.
Oh. No, I can't do that. That's my friend across the world.
Yep, your friends across the world. Lee's in chat. Welcome, Lee. Hope you're okay in your brother. Yes, he's here.
Lee in chat. Oh, where is it? There he's there.
Oh, yeah, he says, I'm listening. Love you. Still driving in a blizzard. Yeah, he's got a ways to drive.
I bet he's actually afraid of you in case you put him in a jar.
Okay, so one time he asked me, I forgot what we were doing, and he asked me, he said, have you ever put a spell on me? And whatever he was asking me about, I said, well, not for that. I said, not for that. If I do anything, it's not going to be for that. And then one day I did working on him, and then I brought it to him, a plate, and I had made out of Play-Doh, you know, I made him and everything. And I showed it to him, and he goes, what's that? And I said, that's you? And he's like, what are you doing with it?
What did you say? What did you say? You better get those chores done.
I always say it's for the. I always tell him it's for the good. It's for the good. He'll say, "What's a jar?" And I'm like, "It's a jar for us," because I'm always doing like, you know, even if you have a happy marriage, you want to always work on the marriage. You know, always. So I'll do a working for, you know, it'll be a jar, and I'll have it like up on the fire mantle. He's like, what's that? And I said, oh, it's a jar for us. Or he'll like pull something out from underneath the bed. He's like, what is that? And I said, oh, that's just a love jar for us. And then he'll be like, well, what is this? And I said, honey, don't worry. All the jars are for good jars for us. So it's like, what's that jar? What's that jar?
And they work because he's a great husband. So they work.
Yeah, but to see his face when I showed him the plate with the Play-Doh with him and everything, and he was like,
oh my.
I think William would have won.
Yeah.
What do you do when you go like, you know, I fancy decorating the living room, and he's like, oh, I can't really be bothered with that. And you, well, you know, I've just got a special jar here.
Give me 2 minutes.
I'm off to Walmart for supplies.
Yeah, he always takes me places to get supplies if I need, you know, certain things and stuff. But yeah, he don't worry because what I do a lot of times is I'll explain to him. I'll try.
Happy life.
I will try to explain to him certain things that I do, and he's like, well, I don't get it. Or if I sell something, if I sell something, say like on Etsy, and say somebody's ordering, say like 5 of my, you know, sprays for, you know, certain things, commanding oil or vanishing or love oil or whatever, and I'm making them, And he's like, what is that one for? And I'll tell him, and he's like, well, how does that work? And then I'll explain. And when I'm halfway, he's like, forget it. I don't get it. So he's one that he don't get it. He's there 100% for me, but he don't get it. It doesn't compute.
Yeah, it's over their head.
I posted the links. Don't
You okay, Christopher? Have we shocked you?
Both of you had froze up at the same time.
Oh my God!
That energy.
Here's an interesting question that I've just thought of, right? And what would you say is the most difficult spell you've ever done?
Okay, the most difficult one working that I've done, or anytime you're working where someone needs to have something done, say like with their spouse or their partner, whatever, and they're a narcissist. Those are almost impossible to do. They can be done, but narcissists, their brain is not wired correctly. There's like loose wires or something. So it's harder to do because you're working on a brain that works differently than everybody else's.
You would have to take it layer by layer, I imagine, work out each problem at a time and try and do some sort of calming thing and things, you know. It's a very, very delicate thing to do, I would imagine.
It takes longer to work too, because a lot of times narcissists, they don't have compassion. They don't have the feelings that most other people have. So it's hard to work on feelings when they don't have any, or they don't work like a normal person's would work. So those would be the hardest.
All the time. The question I get asked all the time, and I would like to ask you, sister, is, even if you don't believe, if somebody's doing a spell for you, even if you don't believe in it, does it work? I get asked that question all the time. So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, I've heard a lot of people say, like, if you put a curse on somebody and they don't believe in curses, it's not going to work. Okay, that's kind of true in a way, because if you know how to phrase everything, then it will. Because instead of just saying, I'm going to put a curse on them, whatever the curse is, I don't know. You know, because I'm not going to really like say one here and somebody like do it. So if they're going to put one on someone and they don't believe, okay, maybe it wouldn't work. But if you phrase it differently, you know, for example, okay, I'm going to put a curse on them. They're no longer going to do this, or they're going to do this, or they're not going to do this. And you start naming the things, then you can start working on it. And then boom, all of a sudden they're like, dang, I must have a curse on me. Because you have pinpointed certain things that can go wrong. And then their mind starts thinking, man, I'm having bad luck. You know, somebody put a hex on me. And then, because once they think it, all it takes is this much.
Yeah.
Come in.
It's a great question. I mean, I think I would answer it the same as you. Yeah, just depends on what you're actually doing as well. Yeah. I mean, healing spells and things will always work because you're doing that from love in your heart.
That's right.
To the person, so they always work. You don't doubt anything like that will ever work. Curses and things I stay away from anyway. But if I was to do something like that, I would do believe that it's the same answer as yours. It's a very delicate situation anyway. I would never curse anybody, because the thing that I always think to myself is, you never know when you're going to be down in your luck and going to do something that somebody else doesn't agree with. So why, if you don't agree with that person, take it to heart and do something against them just because they've not got the same belief as you? It's not worth it.
But it's different when you're not working on someone because of a belief, or because of who they are, or race, or religion, or whatever. It's when that person has done something so evil that not even the courts will do anything about it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
you actually have proof, it's not hearsay.
Yeah.
That is a whole different ball game there,
Oh
because
yes,
then they have it coming to them.
sure,
Because it's
definitely.
all going to depend. If you went to court and you got a hold of the wrong judge or something, and they threw it out or didn't do anything,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, but yet what they are
They've
doing,
done. Hmm.
or physically doing it, or continuing to do it, and it's a matter of life and death, I
Sure. Hmm.
guarantee you that is the time that something needs to be done.
Oh
And I
yeah, I
kind
would
of feel,
definitely do it then.
I've been asked in the situation to say that you should do it or not. And the
Hmm.
way that I see it is, if the situation came to me,
Mhm.
that meant my creator gave me the brains and the knowledge and the know-how. If I'm going to protect someone, then I know how to do it, and I know
Yeah.
how to protect that someone.
Yeah, do it
Because
properly,
sometimes
exactly.
you need that other person to protect you, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Especially when it's kids and animals and things. I mean, they've not
Oh, aye.
got the ability to fight some things back.
Yeah. Because if they're
Mhm.
hurting the innocent, I'm talking about physically hurting
Oh,
the
yeah.
innocent,
Sure.
something needs to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
That's actually quite an interesting thing that Iron Fire Force has brought up there, where about voodoo dolls. I agree, Drew. Entire voodoo doll business, making custom heads for knife blocks. See, voodoo dolls. Do you have like something similar to voodoo dolls? And yeah, I know you were talking earlier about making a wee doll or something up. And your husband was hiding.
Yeah. Yes, they make them.
Right.
Where's
So
my
what does that
camera?
actually?
I can't find my
So what does?
camera.
So what can you actually do to somebody with one of them?
Okay,
Loads
now
of things.
I get my
Mhm.
husband to actually make these. This is made out of polymer clay.
All
It's
right.
hard. Okay,
Oh,
you
Bubby's
can
asking for prayers. Prayers,
Oh,
prayers,
there's
Lee.
Lee. Drive safe, brother.
pray for me right now, honey. LOL. I probably have to stop pretty soon. Can't see the road. Then get off of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
pull
can't see
over.
the
Go to
road.
bed.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
definitely send a prayer for him.
Yeah.
See, and like with him, I'm so tuned into him that
Yeah.
I don't even have to stop talking to do it. It
Right,
automatically, when he said do a prayer, it automatically starts. It
Yeah.
right.
automatically starts,
Yeah,
kicking
connection
in.
here.
Yeah.
But you can do like this. You can use uh, Play-Doh. I have different colors of Play-Doh, pink, blue, whatever the situation.
Hmm.
Um, okay, and I use them for healing. Okay,
Mhm.
you see on TV they're using a doll, they're stabbing it with a
Aye.
whatever, a
Oh,
pin or
no.
a nail or something to cause
Mhm.
pain. Okay, everything that's used for the bad can be reversed and used for the good. If
Yeah.
I get a Play-Doh doll over there and I make a shape, say we'll just use a girl. Say as a girl, say she has a really bad headache, she can't get rid of her
Aye.
headache, it's something she's been dealing with for years. You can make a doll, make a Play-Doh doll, stick the pins, because at this point it's nobody, it's just Play-Doh.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
stick
exactly.
you stick the pins inside the head, like where her
Hmm.
pain would be. Then after you've done that, only then you have to like baptize that doll in the name of whoever you're doing it for. Okay.
Right.
Right.
Say like for example, if I'm doing it for me, then I would bless it and I would say, okay, this doll is now me, you know, this is Rochelle Tunnell, and the doll has a lot of pain in the head, and we're
Mhm.
going to do a prayer and we're going to remove that pain that
Hmm.
person is having in the head. And as you are blessing it, you're putting your intent into it, you're putting your energy into it, you are pulling out one at a time.
Right.
Then you do it again, and then you pull the other one out. Because the pain is there when you said, okay, like it's me. Then you're taking it out and you're taking away. So you're taking that pain away. So it can be used for the good. Maybe it's knee pain or back pain or, whatever.
We were told to do it when I was going through the training to be a priestess. They were telling us to do it, that you put your finger in and you swirl it, and when you're pulling it out, you have to visualise like a trail of smoke, and that is the pain. You're hooking it and you're pulling it, and you have to visualise the smoke as the pain and releasing it. So that's an even better way to do it with the pins. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. That is so interesting.
Everything that people use for the bad, you can turn it around for the good. You just have to think in your head, how can I do this to make it work? So, honey, if you're still listening to it, let me know when you pull over. So.
Be safe in the roads, especially in the blizzard conditions. That can be dodgy, driving one of the big 18-wheelers. Yeah.
He's driven for 44 years, so he knows when it's time.
Yeah.
He'll start looking for a truck stop as fast as he can to get pulled over. So,
yeah.
Would you like to tell the people where you also worked?
Oh.
What?
Would you also like to tell them where you also worked, the men's prison?
Oh, yeah, I worked at a men's death row prison.
Did you?
Yeah, I'm only 4'10", and I got into fights every single day.
Did you see anything paranormal?
No, not paranormal, just a pure evil. Just pure evil. But see, from the time I was little too, I always practiced and was taught and I learned how to do all forms of karate and everything, all different forms. So maybe working in a death row prison was, was like not just being a little girl sissy working in there. Yeah. I used to when there would be a fight and I would head for the fight, sometimes I would have to yell we called ourselves bosses, because when you're an officer in the prison, you're considered a boss because the inmates call you a boss. I would actually have to yell at the other guys to come follow me so that we could go stop the fight, because sometimes they would like freeze up, and I would be the one like, come on, let's go.
Come on, move it. Yeah, bunch it.
Yeah, but
it must have been scary. It must have been scary working in a place like that with the death row murderers and God knows.
Oh yeah, because my friend, she's a female. She got like off. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she got decapitated, but
unalived.
But the thing is you have to stand up for yourself. You can't show no fear. I guess it's kind of like if you see something paranormal, you can't show no fear. So it's weird because even though they're in there, they're murderers and stuff. Yeah. If you still show respect and follow the rules, they won't do anything to you, because there's not that many people in there that follow the rules. They think because there's an officer or the boss, they think they have all the power in the world. Well, I don't see it that way, because at any time I figure if somebody wanted to take me out, they could. So if you're fair with them, the very first day I went in there, believe me, those inmates they tried it to see. Yeah. Because where I worked at, since it's a men's death row, they have layers like you see on TV.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
There's a picket boss that's in a picket. It's like a square deal. They control every door. They're not allowed to touch any door opening or any door closing if you're actually out there with the inmates, because you're the one that sees what's going on. You're the one, if they get a hold of anybody, it's going to be you, because you're out there. You tell that picket boss when to open the door and when to close the door. Well, one time I was walking through, and this one inmate, oh my God, a huge guy, and all they do is exercise. So they're big, muscled guys, And he started going off. It was my first day, but what they were doing is they were trying me to see if I was going to go crying and running off. Okay?
Yeah.
So I stood my ground. And he's cussing me out. He's telling me all of these horrible things he's going to do to me, and I'll never see my kids again and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, was this a stupid thing for me to do? Yes. But at the time, I felt it was the right thing to do because it was the only way that I was going to survive the rest of the day. So, while he was cussing me out and everything, I told the picket boss, open up his cell. Because, see, he was locked in. He was running his mouth. I said, open his cell. And the picket boss was like, no. I'm like, open his cell. And everybody in there, you have 32 cells, 2 inmates to each cell, and there's 3 layers. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, open up his cell. You could have heard a pin drop. Because all the inmates was listening, watching, looking out, the cells, all the bars, they want to see what's going on. I said, open up his cell. She didn't want to because she knew what was going to happen if he stepped out. But at the same time, I'm telling her to open it up.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself in the back of my head, tell to that inmate, but to myself, do not step out. Do not step out. Because I know if he steps out, I was a goner, okay? She opened up his door, and I said, and of course I'm cussing, right? I'm cussing up a storm, like I was a sailor, on a ship. And I said, to be nice to the audience, I said, step out. You want to do something? You want to cuss me out? You want to tell me all these things you're going to do? Now's your chance. Everybody is watching, I said. Everybody's watching. Step out. The whole time I'm telling him, step out, and I'm cussing back at him to step out, I'm in the back of my head going, don't step out, don't step out, don't step out, don't step out. You know what I'm saying? But I showed no fear. He never stepped out. 5 minutes I had her hold that door open. He never stepped out. I said, that's what I thought. And I told her, close the door. So she closed the door. Do you know from that moment on, I worked in there for 5 years and not once that anybody give me a hard time because they respected the fact that I did not step down from one of the biggest inmates in that whole prison.
Brilliant. Well done.
But myself, and I'm putting it in his head, don't step out, don't step out, don't step out. If I was anybody else, he'd probably stepped out. But I was putting that in his head, and he did step out.
I take it you done plenty of protection spells.
Oh yeah.
When you worked there.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a big thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that was the very first day that I was in there. We went in with 50 people. We started off with 300 people in the academy. The first day it went down to 50 people. The rest of them all got too scared and left. 50 people. Within the 1 week, we were down to 10 people, and I was one of the 10 people that stayed there. That's how bad those inmates work on you to get you, to get you out.
Yeah.
And death row, I mean, that'd be the worst of the worst. That'd be like the child murderers and the serial killers and God knows what.
Yeah, because
the energy that would accumulate would be scary as well. Just walking through there.
Oh yeah, very, very, very heavy. Yeah, because that's a death row prison. It just wasn't a prison; it was a death row prison. Yeah, the energy in there was like so heavy. So heavy all the time.
Did you just wear crystals and things to work to keep the energy from absorbing into you?
I didn't. Well, you couldn't wear crystals or anything like that.
Right.
All you could do was just wear your uniform. You couldn't take anything else in with you at all. So I did, like Christopher says, about the protection prayers. Yeah, I had a whole lot of protection prayers.
Yeah.
What was the energy like when one of them was due to be executed?
Well, what happened was when they would get ready to be executed, they would take them out of that facility and put them in a different facility.
Right.
You would still feel that energy though among the other prisoners. You would still feel that they know that other person's going to the next step. So I dare say the prisoners would be unrested.
Yeah.
That was their friend.
Yeah. If I ever did an investigation in a prison, I would not ever let it out that I worked in a men's death row prison. because that would
No,
probably.
they'd
I would
attack you,
never.
wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would never let that out.
No, I don't think
That's
you could ever go to a prison to do an investigation because the spirits would know.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was just stay away from there. There's plenty of other places to go to.
I mean, you see a lot of these ghost hunting shows that go to prisons, and some of the prisons, there's like some of the cells have still got the prisoners in them. It's as if they're scared to leave. Is that because they're scared to like judgment?
Most of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't want to leave because they enjoy being here to
Yeah.
to go after anybody else that comes through.
A lot of them were institutionalised, though, and they don't
And
know where to go. A lot of these
Yeah.
spirits have been in institutions where they were a kid, so that's all they know, and they're only ever used to taking orders. So you have to actually tell them, look, go to the other side, because they've only ever took orders in their life and they don't know any better. You physically have to tell them that it's time to move on.
yeah, some of them don't want to move on. They have no intentions whatsoever to move on.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, yeah, they
questions,
like causing pain here. They did it when they, you know, in real life. They're going to continue to do it. You can always offer for them to move on, but you can't force anybody to move on. But the opening can be there for them.
Yeah.
But majority of the time that they don't, unless they were in there. Even though they were in there, sometimes what they did was maybe to save a family member, and then they got caught up in the system and went in. Those would, I would imagine, would want to in a second to go ahead and move on.
Right, definitely.
If there weren't other spirits holding them back. See, a lot of people don't realize that if you have 3 or 4 spirits there, and say there's a couple of spirits are real timid, and the other ones are real forceful, they can keep them from going on because they'll be scared. They'll be scared to make that movement, because a lot of spirits will hide from other spirits because they can see each other. They can see each other like they can see you. And so a lot of people don't realize that too when they're doing like investigations and stuff, you know, that if someone says, you know, that they're hiding or something, I don't ever tell them to come out. Don't come out of hiding, because you don't know what's going to happen to them when you leave.
Yeah, you know? That's true. I never thought of that before, but you're right. You're right. You don't know what's lingering in these shadows that they're scared from and hiding from. We assume it's us that they're hiding from.
That's exactly right.
I mean, right, here's actually an interesting... Remember Mike the Naked Bigfoot? Everybody remembers Mike the Naked Bigfoot.
Oh, never forget him.
Remember the show that he did about the Skinner Man? Now, this goes to the voodoo doll kind of thing, because he was a voodoo priest kind of thing. It was somewhere, was it New Orleans? Guys, you need to watch, go to Mike's channel and watch My Mystical Love and Light. You need to watch this. It's a story about the Skinner Man. It's to do with voodoo.
Yeah.
And you know how you were saying if someone had done really bad to a family, but the courts would not let anything happen. Well, what happened was he went to this local area, and this guy had murdered a child. And he was meant to get the death sentence, but because his family was higher up, he only got like 20 years or something like that in a maximum security prison. So they went to see this voodoo priestess, and she got the Skinner Man to visit him. Have you ever heard of this tale, My Mystical Love and Light?
I hadn't heard of that.
And seemingly you have to do like a ceremony, and that entity will make that person, it's basically they take like a voodoo doll and they do something to it, and it basically makes them go either mad or kill themselves. And the reason he's called the Skinner Man is because he skins the soul. That's what
I've never heard of that.
Mike's got a lot of great stories like that. I think he's actually crucial for us paranormal investigators, because we need to know what's all lurking out there. So we need to start watching more of Mike's channel and other channels like it that can explain these entities to us.
Drew send you the link after My Mystical Love. You get to send the link after to you for that, because I think even Christine in the chat there, she's seen that live that he did talking about the Skinner Man, and I found that some similarity there when you were talking about curses and stuff for like people that deserved
Mm-hmm.
But that came, I mean, because that was somebody that murdered somebody, but they get basically let off for a wee while.
Well, that's
you know.
basically what it's for,
Aye.
isn't it? It's for
Yes.
people that don't get the justice that they deserve. That's
No.
basically
Mhm.
what it is.
No. So does anybody in the chat, guys, want to ask some questions before we end the show? I can keep it open for another 10 minutes if you want to ask some questions. Listen, guys, I've put all the links in the chat. Please visit that shop because I don't want to end up in a jar. Everybody visit the shop.
I'm glad I don't have any jar that has no name on it or nothing. He'll freak out.
Put that as your thumbnail. Justify it.
You could have me in a jar hanging over it. Here's a question, and this is a lot of the single guys out there, and I suppose a lot of the single women out there. What's the deal with love potions and stuff like that? Because I hear folk talking about them all the time, and you see them in TikTok going, "Oh, use a love potion, you're going to get loads of girlfriends and stuff." Like, what is the deal there? Is there such a thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is, and a lot of people that do workings for other people and stuff, they tend to gear away from it. I have a few of them in my shop. Now they'll work if say like if you're say like you're married or something and you want to keep things moving, or say you're with someone and they've just recently decided, you know, everything's dead in the situation. There's no mojo there between us. I'm gonna move on. You can to bring them. You can to bring them back. Yes. Now, if that person moves on and they're with someone else, no, that's not a good thing to get interfered, because someone out of those three is going to end up being hurt. So it's always good not to use anything like that if there's a third party involved.
Right.
You can do potions and things for people to find love, and all you really do is put the intent into the spell that the person knows what they're going after, stays true to their heart. That type of thing you can do a working for people for. You can't really match somebody up to somebody else though, because that other person has to still have that intent in their head, interest, you know. But you can work around these things.
There's a question for you there, Dobby's Sock. Question for Mystical. Do you use Wolf's Bane in your workings? And if yes, what for?
I do use Wolf's Bane. I have some Wolf's Bane. And it's actually, look, let me show you. Hold up.
I don't think I've ever heard of Wolf's Bane.
I've heard it. I heard it. I was in a herb shop one day and somebody came in and asked for it.
Right.
Oh. See?
All right,
Okay, so I do have some, and if you noticed, I got it off of the top up there. Those are some poisonous herbs. So you only want to use it if it's justified, like on hexing or cursing. Or you can use it for the opposite and use it to remove hexes or curses or, you know, anything like that. But it is considered a poisonous herb. So you have to be careful on using it, especially like burning it, because the fumes will be, you always want to be mindful of your pets. Anytime you use something that's poisonous, don't use it when you're, you know, when you have pets, you know, around that might, you know, some people will burn it, you know. So those are things you can use it for. Just be mindful of what is around and what you're using it for. But those are the main things that you can use it for.
There's a question from Christine. If you have a pendulum from, oh my God, what is that word? Bluestone from near Stonehenge, would it have the same energy as Stonehenge? As a friend of mine has made one for me.
I would say if it came from the actual stone itself, You're welcome, Dobby Socks. If it came from the actual stone itself, it would have the same energy. If it was around it, it may have energy,
Yeah.
but probably not the exact same energy.
It wouldn't last in the stone unless you kept recharging it, I do believe.
I always wanted to
those
chip a
little
wee bit of
stones you can
Stonehenge and
order.
keep it. Does little stones you can order have any actual properties that manifest?
I'm not sure what actual stones you're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Is it stones that you've seen?
Is it stones in a shop that you've seen, Stockport? Or is it, if you... We'll go to the next question while you...
Okay, let me just throw this in there in case that's what she's thinking about. Anything you buy from a shop, you want to cleanse it before you actually even take it into your vehicle. You don't have to have like sage or anything like that to cleanse it right off the bat. Your intentions can cleanse it. So if you're buying something from a shop, cleanse it, because they can carry energy that manifests other things, yes, if you don't cleanse it. The person working in the shop, what if they were pissed off and they were stalking? Their energy just went into it. You know.
Oh, I think he's talking about the Babylon shells. They come in a smudge kit.
I would say anything you get that you didn't, anything that you come in contact with that you did not forge yourself, be safe and cleanse it.
How do you cleanse something really quickly? How do you cleanse something? Just
can cleanse.
Smoke. If you smoke a quick cigarette, smoking things lighter. Your intent.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I've got a really, I can see it for here. I've got a really good American friend, and he lives in North Carolina. And do you know what he sent me a couple of weeks ago? A Native American arrowhead, and it's crystal.
Oh.
And it was they found it in the field when they were ploughing the fields.
That's the best place to find them.
It's here's a question here. Do you think burning sage to get rid of spirits really helps, or is it just a mind over matter? Can I imagine spirits just laughing?
Well, if it's spirits that are not really mean spirits, tricksters and stuff, you can. A lot of people don't really understand saging correctly, and if you start saging like from the open, say like a front door or the window, and you start saging from the very back, and you're saging and you're walking through, getting the corner. Spirits like to hide in corners. They always like to hide in corners.
Open drawers, open everything.
Yes, so start at the very back, and it's not just going through a little bit and saging. You have to actually fog it up so that the smoke can go in all the cracks and crannies and, you know, get through there. Now, if it's something really bad, you may need sage, you may need Palo Santo, you may need, along with your, you know, your prayer, you may need holy water. I do my own holy water because I don't trust other people, so I do my own.
I will say sage does work. Sage does definitely work, and the reason I know it works is because my house is haunted. It's got a spirit in it, and it's a very friendly spirit. A very friendly spirit, and I notice him quite a lot.
That Robert?
That's Robert, and I lit sage in my bedroom where I sometimes see him. I never seen him for 6 months.
If they're real friendly, I'll get to you in just a minute, honey. If they're real friendly and stuff like that, sage works good. But the more mean that they are, then you may have to go in seconds and thirds and fourths, because a lot of times one thing just ain't going to get it. So it's just like people, you know, certain things work. Yeah, sweetheart, tell him about the trick. Well, first of all, before I say anything, are you stopped? Are you pulled over? Are you safe? Are you still driving? Don't be typing all of that. Don't be typing all of that if you're, you know, if you're not safe.
Driving the native wheeler.
He'll just talk in his phone. It's on a mountain. He'll just talk in it. Sometimes he sends me messages. I don't even know what it says. Okay, so sweetheart, tell him about the trickster spirit that pushed me down, and you have it on video. Yeah. Okay, so he goes into this one particular store, and the person working in there, two or three people working in there, has said that they have someone that keeps turning the pumps off. You know, they'll turn it on, the trickster will turn it off, or what, or the spirit, they say, would turn it off. They followed them to their house and back, and it's just not one employee, it's like 2 or 3 employees. Okay, so Lee was telling me about it, and I told Lee, I said, it's a trickster. They're playing, you know, tricks on him. So he had mentioned, when he went back, he had mentioned to him, you know, my wife does paranormal stuff, and she can do an investigation in your house, you know, if you want, or whatever. So they said, okay. Well, the next time Lee went over there, he's walking across the parking lot, and he gets shoved, like, you know, if you're going to trip, you're going to, like, trip and you're going to fall. Yeah. Well, Lee's not a little person, and the camera from the store caught it, that something shoved him, and you could see him, like, on his shoulder. It shoved him with the power that he had his drink in his hand and his food in a bag. And it shoved him to the point that he not only went over, his feet went up in the air like he was doing a cartwheel. Wow. And back on the ground again. And Lee was like, I know I didn't trip. I know I didn't trip. So they couldn't give him the copy off of what is it, CCT camera, whatever it is, but she used her phone and she filmed it for him, and then she sent it to his phone. So I put it on the computer and I enlarged it, and you could clearly see, you know, if somebody was going to trip, you would see their feet trip first before they start moving, but you see the shoulder first, where it shoved him, and then caused him to go over.
That's actually quite scary, that.
Yeah, she asked him if he was doing cartwheels out in the parking lot.
Oh my God! You'll need to sage the cab of his truck.
He's driving very slow.
I have a mojo bag that I made for him, and he keeps in his truck.
When he goes to his bed at night, does he hold his crucifix?
Oh.
Yeah. So that was something to see, because she told him, she says, I can't like give you the film or anything, but she was kind enough to film it with her phone, you know, and was videotaping it on the replay of it.
Well, we'll need to see that one night, but that's near the end of the show, I'm afraid. I would like to say to Dobby Sock, have a good night. It's been a really good night tonight, and I've shared out your links and I've shared out your shop, so don't put me in a jar.
Do you want to know how to grow your hair, Chris? Do you want to know how to make it?
Well, then tell us before we go off, you know. Make me bring my hands again.
Oh yeah, you can only do an hour, so that'll take up time. Well, you'll have to have me back, and then we'll do it then.
We'll have you back
in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, aye. Me and Dakota will be sitting. What we'll do is we'll do it for a joke. We'll get the stuff on them. We'll get a couple of wigs. Everybody in here will forget. I would be. And then I'll get a Donald Trump one and get 2 Donald Trump ones. That'll be quite good, you know. We'll make internet great again, you know. But anyway, I would like to thank my mystical loving light for coming on tonight. I would like to thank my co-host Drew for coming on tonight. This video will be out. Drew, do you want a copy of this? And I'll give you a copy of this live and say on Friday, and you can put it out on your show too.
Thank you.
Right. On Friday it'll be out in Drew's show. So everybody, I wish you an amazing week. Remember, check those links out in case you don't see me again. I'll be in a jar somewhere.
You won't be in a jar. You got no worries. You got no worries. If you put me in a jar, how am I going to come back?
Like you.
I can't help myself. I couldn't help myself, guys. But listen, guys, everybody in the chat, thank you for coming. Thank you for subscribing for the new subscribers. And remember, check out Drew's Paranormal Vlog Day. But you've changed
Thank
the
you,
name of
guys.
it. But check it out.
It was abandoned
Check out My
Paranormal.
Mystical Love and Light. And remember, go to our shop and spend all your money in our shop.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming, guys.